Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the format out of the way real quick, if you'd like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. The first question today is, do you think that the Showdown playlist in Rainbow Six Siege should be permanent? I've been really enjoying the faster 3v3 gameplay. I honestly would not be opposed to that. Now, maybe it shouldn't be its own permanent playlist, because let's be completely honest. While I do think that a lot of people are enjoying it right now, this 3v3 mode is probably going to wear thin after a while. It's gonna kind of lose its luster if you're constantly playing it, and those queue times are going to start to extend. People are going to get bored of it, they're gonna move on to something else, and so having a permanent playlist like this probably isn't going to be a long-term thing. But what I'm really hoping for, and especially considering that we've been getting more and more of these events, is that they start to bring some of the old ones back. I would love it if we had a rotation where one week it's Rainbow is Magic, the next week after that we have Showdown. Maybe they bring back the Halloween event. If they continue to add more and more, hopefully we get to the point where this is something that we see constantly. Now, admittedly, we probably need to have more events before they do start putting them on rotation. So far, I think we've only had about 4 if you count Operation Outbreak, but Ubisoft has made it very clear that Outbreak is not coming back. They've even made a spin-off game, so we'll have to experience it there. But if they do continuously add in more and more of this content, I would love to have it on a rotation because I do think that it add a lot of value to the game. If that's not possible, though, I would love this to be an option for custom matches. I know a lot of people that have been enjoying the Showdown mode, not only because it's faster-paced gameplay, but also because it's potential for 1v1 or just with a bunch of friends to jump on in and get some fast 3v3 action going. It's really fun. It's incredibly satisfying to line up those headshots with those weapons that you have available and take people out. To have that available in customs or the other ones that we just talked about, I think would be an amazing step in the right direction. Why remove that content from the game if people are really liking it right now? And so all in all, I am right there with you. The only thing I can think of for why Ubisoft might be a bit reluctant to do something like this, though, is that they want these events to be special and limited time. If players know that these events are never coming back and you can only play them now, they might be more likely to get involved with Rainbow Six Siege again, especially if they haven't played Siege in quite some time. Ubisoft's goal is to not only keep their player base, but expand their player base. And so if having these special events can get people to join the game, maybe for the first time, or to come back, that's something that they want to achieve. And so maybe it could be that for that very reason why we don't see this as a continuous playlist or something that's available in customs. It's hard to say. The next question is, what do you think about Ella's gadget plus Echo's drone making the player completely blind for a short period of time? That is a really interesting idea. You guys all know that I love when Ubisoft adds in these kinds of dynamics and synergies into Rainbow Six Siege. Teamwork is one of my favorite parts about this game, but I think this is the first time I've ever heard a suggestion about having two different effects causing something greater or grander for the defensive team. If this is something that they expanded upon, that could add in a lot more depth than we have right now, where you actually do want to have different operators that are paired with each other, kind of like Thatcher and Thermite, for example, but in a different way. Now, the reason why I don't think this is probably going to work for these guys specifically is that, first of all, this would be very situational. Not only do you need to have the Echo gadget in the right position, but it needs to go off, so offense needs to run through that doorway where it is, but you also need to have the Echo waiting in the wings in his gadget, waiting for them to actually pass on through, and then actually, disorienting the enemy so that you do get that blinding effect. If all of those aren't lining up, you're probably not going to actually be able to take advantage of this. Ella's effect doesn't really last all that long, and so if the Echo is off doing something else, he's probably not going to be able to get into his drone, shift through all of them, and then stun or disorient the target. Like, it's just not going to happen. On top of that, I don't necessarily know if these two operators necessarily need an upgrade right now. I don't know if I'd go as far to say that Ella is one of the strongest operators operators on defense. Like, she's decent right now. Maybe she could use a slight upgrade, but Echo in particular is banned constantly for a reason. He is incredibly powerful. People are sidelining him because his gadget is that potent. It literally wins games. People have been in a 1v5 situation against an Echo, and because it's the last couple of seconds of a round, he wins simply because of his gadget. He brings a lot of utility to the defensive team. And to give him even more, especially with synergy with an Ella, I don't really know if that is necessarily needed right now. I think that'd be pushing things a bit too far. All in all, though, I think that this is a really cool idea, at least conceptually. This probably wouldn't work for your two examples, but I would love for Ubisoft to explore this in the future. Maybe with another operator that they add into the game that synergizes with ones that we have right now, adding in some sort of dynamic where if you have the teamwork and the situation arises to get a better effect or have something happen that kind of expands upon itself, could be a really cool concept. The next question comes from Ian, and it is, what are your thoughts on the recruit? Do you agree with them taking him out of ranked? Personally, I want a lot more to do with the recruit than just casual. I am totally okay with them removing him from ranked. I do understand that there are some recruit mains out there that are a bit disappointed by this, and there are some strategies that surround him because he has certain loadouts that isn't available for any other operator. Like, he can use certain weapons with a nade, for example. He's one of the few operators that actually has access to a nade. But that said, I don't think it takes away from the fact that if you usually have a recruit on your team, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. He has no primary gadget. Gadgets are obviously one of the most important tools in your toolbox as an operator, and to be running around not only without a gadget, but also with no actual attachments on your weapons, is really putting your team at a disadvantage. If someone is playing recruit, a lot of the times, it's just simply because they're messing around. They're not really taking it seriously, and that's not really conducive for the entire ranked experience. The next question comes from George, and it is, what do you think about an operator on defense that can scan the area for foreign electronics, leaving them outlined like Lion's ability? This could be a cool down ability or like an area of effects. Well, I don't really know if this is something that I would want to see on defense, because let's be completely honest, the only thing that would really help with is finding drones. And while finding drones is very important, I feel like this would be way more beneficial for the offensive team. Imagine him having access to some sort of nade where he throws it next to a wall or throws it somewhere, and then everything in a really large area, probably bigger than a Thatcher's EMP, all of those gadgets are highlighted, maybe for a short period of time, maybe for the entire match. Maybe that might be too strong, but you kind of get where I'm going. Then the rest of your team can act accordingly. Everyone now knows where the Jaeger devices is. So if you do have someone that is trying to throw a flash or a nade onto the objective, they know where to avoid it. If they have a Thatcher, they know where to place their gadget to take out the goo mines. There would be so many different ways that you could take advantage of this information. Right now, you can sort of do it with like an IQ, for example, and this is maybe a good argument for why we don't need someone like this introduced, because it kind of steps into other operators' territories. IQ, one of the reasons why you play as her, is to identify where those gadgets are and then take them out through a wall. But if you now literally have someone who can just throw a gadget and everything in a large vicinity lights up for everyone to take out, then what's the point of having IQ? At the same time, though, Ubisoft has already kind of stepped into a lot of characters' territories. Eventually, we're going to get to the point, especially if they want to get to that 100 operator mark, we're going to have a lot of operators that feel very similar, maybe fulfill a slightly different role, like Kaid and Bandit, for example. This is kind of an inevitability, and so maybe that is something that would work for this character in particular. I think the reason why I'm so intrigued by this idea is that it would bring in some new layers that we don't really have to think about right now. You could bring in a Thatcher to outright take out the gadgets, but a lot of times you don't know specifically where said gadgets are, and so your EMPs go to waste. How many times have you thrown his gadget through a window and had it immediately get zapped by a Jaeger device? And so then you have to throw the EMP at the base of said window to take out said gadget. Well, if you had this new character, you would know how to work around that. But at the same time, if you aren't bringing someone like a Thatcher and you only bring this new operator, it doesn't matter now you know where all the defensive gadgets are located if you don't have the necessary tools to deal with said gadgets. And so all in all, while I realize that I kind of twisted your idea, I really don't think that it'd be all that beneficial for defense. It might be decent in some circumstances if you're looking for a drone that you just simply can't find, but by and large, I think this would be much more beneficial for the offensive team. Who knows, maybe it wouldn't be strong enough, it wouldn't add enough value for all of the other great operators that are on the roster, but I think that this could be a really cool idea. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's episode of Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you like the idea of having Showdown available in custom matches? Do you think that they should stay special and limited time? Let me know your reasons down below. As always, if you'd like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.